Hi, today we're back in this idyllic area of the Deverill Valley. It's just over the North Dorset to Wiltshire border, and we're in a little sheltered nook. That's what I call it. I like to say that. It's so perfect because we have a fence, okay, where the stile you go through, but this fence is perfect because I can balance my pad on it. Okay. So I've got a pad, and this is a very special pad with gorgeous paper. It's St Cuthbert's Mill, and if you get a lovely little stamp mark with a cross, that means St Cuthbert's Mill. It's smooth watercolour paper, it's like parchment, and it just is amazing to paint on. You end up with quite sort of ethereal, again, soft watercolours. So I've got my water, my paper, my porcelain plate, and then I'm going to decide what colours I'm going to use. And I'm going to create this beautiful backdrop of the autumn colours. But obviously not put the sheep in it because I don't do sheep. But I'm just going to take in this gorgeous valley of the Devills. So the colours that I'm going to use today is a 4-colour technique. So we've got different ranges of Winsor and Newton, and then I'm going to throw in a Holbein Japanese watercolour paint. I can't actually pronounce this yellow, but can we have a close-up on that? There you go. That's the name. It's quite an unusual yellow, but it's just wonderful. So it's quite a sort of acidic, sort of lemony, greeny yellow, but I like that when it's actually mixed with gold ochre, which is Winsor and Newton. These two together work really well together. And then we've got a cadmium red, and then a cobalt blue, and they're from the Coatman range. So I'm going to squeeze these out on my plate. So be generous when you squeeze the paint out. Because you don't really want to run out, because that's very frustrating. And place them around the edge of the plate. These are wonderful paints to use when you're actually learning to paint. And I feel that when I'm painting outside, I don't always want to use very expensive watercolour paint. So the brushes I'm going to use today is quite a variety. We've got a Chinese bamboo brush, which is going to be perfect for those pines over there in those woods. So I can do a dragging technique. Then I've got the filbert, in case I speckle anything or make any mistakes. That's a must-have brush, is the filbert. It has a very long stem, and you can buy them in so many different ranges. Then we've got the hog's hair, which I absolutely love, and it's a flat brush. And it's natural bristle again, and it holds loads of water. And then we've got a wolf hair brush made of wolf's hair. Again, this is a Chinese brush, and it's wonderful for the detail. Light's gonna go. So I have to work really quick Okay, so I'm going to wet my paper. We're lucky here because it's so sheltered under this gorgeous pine. It's very Christmassy, and there's just leaves falling into the fields, and the cows are mooing in the barn down there, and we've got tons of sheep over there. It's wonderful. It's just a great way of getting out into the fresh air. Okay, so I'm going to put this very unusual yellow from the Holborn range over the paper. I always do this, and I leave areas, slits of white. Okay, and I move my pad. Okay, and then I'm going to use the it's like a gorgeous golden ochre over my sky as well, so you're not focusing on the details straight away. I'm just getting the colours on. At the moment I'm going to let that run down, let it run down, bring it across. Let it all drip off. So it's very wet, very explosive kind of work. And that's how you create the translucency. I'm just going to let that just shake it off. I'm going to pick up my little bit of blue, just use it neat. So there's a little bit of blue. Just going to scrub that on, and then I'm going to use that brush. That's what I'm going to use, that one. And again, just put a little bit of a glaze, soften that slightly across there. Okay, so what I'm really pleased actually is, okay, I haven't got a white fluffy cloud. I've got this chink of light here, which I'm really pleased about, and that's naturally happened. So I'm just going to go with that. And I'm going to have a very small amount of cloud at the top. Okay, so what I do is I mix a bit of the red into the blue. So you've got a very cool bluey purple. You see that? And then while it's wet, I skim across the top. See that? Okay. So you've just got a little bit of contrast at the top where the cloud's starting to come down there. Tip it. I'll probably go over that one more time. Depends how heavy I want this. I don't want the cloud to be too heavy. So looking at the cloud coming down, it's quite dark now through the valley. Like the furthest hill is what you're supposed to look at, okay? You look at that furthest ridge of the hill. So I'm going to actually use purple, but an earthy purple, by mixing the yellow that I used in the sky, the two yellows, the blue and the red. So it's going to be warm, it's not just going to be grey. So it takes a bit of time just making that, and you've got to work quick because you're doing it wet on wet, but this is a good time of year because it doesn't dry too quickly. Okay, I've got this sort of aubergine colour, which I absolutely love because the natural countryside is like that. And then I have to really think where that's going to go. Okay, so it's going to go like that, just like that. That's the furthest hill. Then there's another hill in front of it, but it's a slightly different colour. So it's sort of like an earthy green. So there's quite a lot of colours going on here, so I'm just going to, I just mix and use whatever I've got on the plate. There, I've got that, that's quite, yeah, I like that. Okay, let's use that colour, I like that. Just get it a bit thicker, slightly. Get it a bit darker, because it is quite dark. It's impossible to get it exactly, you know, what it is, because the light's constantly changing all the time. Here we go again, it's changing again. Okay, so you've got that hill right in front. And I'll go back over that again. And I'll go back over that. So really, all you're doing is concentrating on the contours of the hills. You're not looking at the trees yet, because the trees are the detail. That comes last. Okay, I'm going to go back over that ridge one more time, just like that. Yes, that's okay. There's a little bit of white in there, which I'm just going to fill in with a little bit. Oh, that would be quite nice. Let's just bring in a little bit of colour there. There's a slight bit of earthy, reddy soil in that distant field beyond. So I'm just going to fill it in almost. But then, because you're working wet and wet, it all merges together. And that's what's lovely. And then you can do all the last minute details at the end if you want to. If I want to put a few little fence posts on the top. But really, I don't really want to do that. A little bit of a bushy thing there. I'll just let that. That's fine. Okay. So what we have now, we have 3 hills that I've just put in. And the sunlight's hitting them, which has totally changed the colours again. So I'm just going to bring that up a bit. What I tend to do a lot of the time when I'm actually painting, I tend to always bring my view closer to me. It's just a natural thing that I do. Obviously, if I had a bigger piece of paper, then I probably would do it a lot bigger scale. So what I'm going to do is bring in this woodland around it. And I've just mixed those 2 yellows together, gold and ochre, and this unusual yellow, which I can't say the beginning of it, but it's a very sort of acid lemon yellowy sort of canary yellow colour. And I'm going to scrub. Let's just put a little bit of that in there as well. A little bit of red. And I'm going to scrub because there's a tree that's just coming in there. Okay, just a little bit there. What you end up doing sometimes is little bits come off your brush and you get little dots on your sky. Try not to worry about that. Because sometimes you can just use your finger. Did you just see that? I use my finger and I just sort of, it disappears. Now, what else I can do is again change the colour again. I've just realised as well, obviously, my paper isn't big enough to get those lovely pines over there. I'm going to have to come back to this spot again when it's really cold. And I've just spotted a butterfly, a red admiral, just down there. Wonderful. So I've made my brown. And what I want to happen is some of this darker shade to feather up over this hedgerow just down in the dip. Okay, you can only see a bit. Okay, so I'm just bringing that across there. And what I'm going to do is tip. Can you see this? So as I'm tipping, it feathers over and you still get the lovely golden orangey hints at the top of the hedgerow, and they get these lovely formations, natural organic sculptural forms, just by moving the water and the paint over those layers of colours that you put on. And I'm going to do the same with this tree. So I'm going to tip it. You watch that. So you have to be incredibly patient. Can you see how it's forming? Yeah. There. There. So it's washing up. It's washing up. A little bit more of that on there. So on the other side of the paper, I'm forming this density over my woodland. And again, the light is at the top. So I'm going to take that right up. I'm going to let that go right up like that. And then I will take a darker shade again and bring it in again and tip. And I'm going to do the same here because that hedgerow down in that dip, down in that valley, is really dark. And then it disappears beyond. There's quite a lot to concentrate on, it's quite a lot to focus. You just keep working in that way. I'm going to bring a bit of a shadow just down in that dip because it's changed again. Just by using an earthy brown, just going to bring that across, bring it across and out, okay? Bring it across and out and overlap. And overlap, and overlap, and overlap, all the way there. So it just makes it sharper slightly. Just soften that little seam in there, and soften that, just in there. It's all about clever placing of colours. Brush that back over. Then I will go over this bit. Then you get a crinkling effect on the top of your ridge. If you want to slightly soften that, you run your brush across the top and out. You see that? Okay. Just going to go back over that greener field that was in front, which I really like. I'm going back over that. There, like that. Front. This is a wonderful day today. I'm really enjoying painting today. I can be really relaxed. I just want to get a nice hump of a hill there. Okay, just bring that across. I've got to go back to my hedgerow, so there's a lot to really concentrate on here. Again, I never choose an easy scene. So I'm going back over that with like a purple. Go back to that as well. And do something along there. Okay. Brush that in. Trying to get a brown now. Again, I'm going to tip it just a bit. And if I get enough, what I'm going to show you, I've got a fly on there. That's interesting, the fly likes my pad. Go away, that's it. That across there. Soften that. With this bamboo brush, make sure it's dark enough. I'm not sure if it's going to work. Oh no, it is. I want these wintry throngs coming up from that hedgerow. Just a little bit, just a little suggestive, winter suggestive, mixed with autumn. And sometimes you can finish this off at home. I might finish this off in the studio at home or in the art garden studio. So what's happened is that all the colour that I put along the hedgerow is all seeped up, and then I have to go back to it again. Just in there. And I've got this sort of green field in front, which is very bright, but I don't really do bright green. So again, I'm going to make it quite earthy. And the way I do that is toning it down with a little bit of red in it. And because my pad's gone wet, the paper's gone wet, I mean, I have to change my water, that's for sure. Right. So I'm going to wet back over this field so it all connects. Just gently use a flat brush, not a pointed brush, use a flat brush, bushy brush, or whatever you, but it's got to be a flat brush or a Chinese hake. Okay, here you go. So, just to finish off with my earthy colours, which I prefer. Let's bring that under there. Maybe just a little bit of blue coming across there. This area is bright. Not quite strong enough. Let's just wet that as well. Areas. So this is why it's so important to really know about your colour mixing. To really practice that before you attempt to do anything like this. Yes, we've got some amazing sound effects today in the Deverill Valley. I think the cows are all going to be milked, so they're all getting a bit sort of frantic and excited because the farmer's probably turned up. Actually, it's quite amazing sound. I've not experienced this for a while. Lovely. still going down into here a minute. Just put a few more different tones in there, even though I'm quite far away from it. I'm just trying to imagine it. Tip it now. I'm going to tip it. Just this bit here. I really need to get a darker colour. And I don't cheat and use black or dark brown. I make my browns. I'm going to need some more blue. I've run out of blue. Okay. I just love cobalt blue. That makes so many interesting colours. Just run that again across there. There. Okay. And then it's very dark at the base. I'm actually getting quite addicted just to this area. When I say addicted, I'm just sort of getting obsessed, I mean. And you tend to do that when you paint. There's always an area that fascinates you the most. It's this bit here. Just that bit there. And I could quite easily say, oh, I'm just going to leave that bit. But no, I've got to do a little bit more. It's all it is just tufts of grass. But you've got to sort of bring in shadows and just different shades again. And actually sometimes something like that can be really hard. So I'm just going to put a little bit more of that on there. Like that. I'm just going to mix a little bit of blue into there. I want to kind of just a little bit of maybe a track. Maybe I'll just put a little bit of shadowing, just sort of like that. Yeah. Just speed up a bit. And then if I want the tufts to appear on the grass, I'm just going to show you. Ouch, something's trying to bite me. Okay. Let's bring that into there. So I'm going to just, to give it a bit of, there, I'm just going to make it feel like it's, sloping down. So I use my brush like it's on a slope. Because you do, the top of that ridge, it's quite a walk. It's a wonderful walk. And then there's another little bit there. And the hardest thing with watercolour, it just disappears. And you have to apply so many different shades. But actually, I'm really happy with that. And I think I'm going to stop. What I'm going to do is just put a little bit of detail here. There's just a few little bushes appearing. And what you end up getting is sort of like a bit of a watermark around it. But what I'm going to do is use my filbert, and I'm going to slightly then push, can you see what I'm doing? Pushing that water back in and around that tree, okay? Around that form. And then you go back to it again and you just do a press and release technique with a very strong colour, just to give you that impact. Again, I just mix all three, just to, okay, and I'm going to now press, press. And then what you get is these little formations in the distance. And that's exactly what it's like. Again, I've still got this watermark around them, so I'm going to show you how I just get rid of that. The magic of my filbert. Look. Almost use your finger. In fact, I'm going to get rid of that one. So if you want to get rid of something, here you go. You use your filbert again. Fantastic brush. Made of hog's hair. And when you buy them, they're very white. But I've used this so much. You see how that's disappeared? Just bring that out. Just bring it out. Perfect. Minor errors, I just want that one there. Okay, just do that, sweep it out. Well, I've now completed my Deverill Valley with ridge hills, all different shades of autumn to winter colours on a beautiful sunshine day. I visited this area quite a while back, and I've done quite a few films from here, but not this side. I've done the other side where the organic farm is, John Pertwood's estate, and there's something about the light here, and you're always looking to the southwest, so it is perfect when you're painting outside to find a location where you're sheltered with the backdrop, where you've got the most perfect fence to perch your pad. You don't have to worry about an easel. And it's quiet. We've only had 3 dog walkers go past us, so it's been wonderful, and just the sound of the cows, and it's just, we're in nature. This is wild. This is fantastic. You have to embrace it, and the light is so good for you as well as painting. So I'm really pleased with what I've achieved today. It's not easy, but I want to come back here again and do that woodland strip over there with the pines, and that would be a lovely Christmassy scene. Bye for now.